What if I told you that a horror movie could have more screeching tires than blood-curdling screams? That a serial killer's weapon of choice isn't a knife, a chainsaw, or even a creepy mask, but a car? Welcome to Death Proof, Quentin Tarantino's twisted love letter to grindhouse cinema. Released in 2007 as part of the Grindhouse double feature alongside Robert Rodriguez's Planet Terror, Death Proof is Tarantino's take on a classic slasher film. Except instead of a masked maniac lurking in the shadows, we get Stuntman Mike, played by the legendary Kurt Russell. Imagine Jason Voorhees, but with a driver's license, a mean streak, and a love for old-school muscle cars. But here's the catch. Mike isn't just your run-of-the-mill psycho. He's got a car that's supposedly death-proof. Well, at least for him. For everyone else, let's just say seat belts won't be much help. The horror setup. The film starts like a traditional slasher flick. A group of unsuspecting young women, hanging out, drinking, and blissfully unaware, find themselves in Mike's crosshairs. And because this is Tarantino, expect long conversations, cool retro vibes, and dialogue that makes you forget you're watching a horror movie until it all goes south. When Mike finally strikes, it's pure vehicular carnage. If you thought Final Destination 2 had the craziest car crash scene in film history, well, Death Proof raises the stakes. The impact is brutal, the deaths are shocking, and just when you think it's over, Mike walks away completely unscathed. Why? Because his car is custom-built to keep him safe while turning everyone else into roadkill. The shift. Now, most horror movies would end here. Killer wins, credits roll. But this is Tarantino we're talking about. Instead of Mike cruising off into the sunset like some twisted ghost rider, Death Proof flips the script, literally. Mike sets his sights on a new group of women. But unlike his last victims, these ladies aren't helpless. Oh no, they're stunt women, adrenaline junkies, and straight-up badasses. The hunter becomes the hunted, and suddenly, Death Proof shifts gears from horror to full-throttle revenge action. Enter Zoe Bell, who, by the way, is not just playing a stunt woman, she's a real-life stunt legend. And she proves it with one of the most insane, white-knuckle chase sequences ever filmed. No CGI, no green screens, just pure practical stunt work that makes Fast and Furious look like bumper cars. The ultimate payback. And then, the most satisfying part. Mike, after terrorizing women for who knows how long, finally gets what's coming to him. There's no elaborate horror movie trap, no dramatic monologue. Just an all-out beatdown that is as brutal as it is hilarious. Seeing Mike go from smug, untouchable villain to a sniveling, terrified wreck is something you don't get in most horror movies. By the end, you're not just rooting for the heroines, you're cheering them on like it's the Super Bowl of revenge. Death Proof is a strange beast. It starts as a slasher film, turns into a revenge flick, and is held together by Tarantino's signature mix of sharp dialogue, brutal action, and a killer soundtrack. It may not be his most famous work, but for fans of grindhouse cinema, muscle cars, and practical stunts, it's a must-watch. So, the next time you're on the highway and see an old-school Dodge Charger creeping up behind you, maybe just switch lanes. You never know who's behind the wheel. What do you think of Death Proof? Is it an underrated gem or just a weird experiment? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, subscribe, and buckle up for more deep dives into the best and weirdest films out there.